you back to the High Court in Pretoria, which has since dismissed defense lawyer Advocate Malesela Teffo's special plea to have a trial within a trial. Now, during his ruling, the judge apologized to the second defense lawyer, Advocate Zandile Mshololo, for the delay in the cross-examination. Advocate Teffo argued that his clients were heavily assaulted to make their confession. Our reporter Linda Mnisi is in court following the developments and joins us now live. Afternoon to you, Linda. We heard Advocate Teffo insisting and being told at some point by Judge Maumela not to repeat so many of his points because he's now wasting time. But he believed that there's a lot of significance in what he's arguing for.
Yes, in fact, he's calling this special plea a game changer. He says that, this is one of the legal processes that can interrupt proceedings and can basically be heard until the end at whatever point that he raises these issues. So he wanted, of course, this plea to be heard, and in that addressing the issue around how his clients were not properly charged and also how they were not informed of their rights when they first appeared at the Boksburg Magistrates Court. You'll remember that was in October 2020, the 27th to be precise. So saying that, in fact, they went ahead. The police obtained two confessions, which they obtained after assaulting their clients, and he says that they were severely assaulted. Let's take a listen to how he explains the assault to the judge.
Tomfa assaulted with the baton, assaulted, they were even suffocated. To extend that we were in the situation of the apartheid police tactics, where you will be suffocated with a tube. To confess, to incriminate yourself to the matter that you didn't know, to the matter that happened in that particular night when you were in Mashavatini in KZN. When you were in Konongoma in KZN, someone in the position of power, of authority, being the police officer, will say, take the responsibility of that matter. I don't care what you tell me. I don't care what you say, where you were at that hour, that fateful hour, that ungodly hour on the 26th of October 2014.
Advocate Malesela Teffo there addressing the court about what he described as an apartheid-style kind of, beating to get the truth, he says, out of his client, saying that as a result, his client's rights have been infringed upon. But you would have heard also the judge reflecting on the kind of application that this is, saying that it would have been something else if these confessions were before the court. He has not received these confessions because they are supposed, of course, to be handed in by the state as evidence, because the state also did not say that it relies on these confessions. The judge saying at this point, it does not look like the submissions being made are substantive and therefore would ensure or would make the judge rule in the favor of Malesela Teffo, which would ultimately mean that Advocate Mshololo would have to stop her cross-examination and then allow for that process to take place. You would have heard earlier on in Paul when this matter started this morning, the prosecutor in the matter, in fact, George Baloyi, telling the court that they had been furnished with the papers about this trial within a trial, but did not have enough time to file answering affidavits because these papers were only filed this morning. So it seems then that at this particular point, cross-examination will continue regardless of whether or not Advocate Malesela Teffo wanted a trial within a trial.
And in fact, we heard Judge Maumela, Linda, as also speaking and referring to how the application needed to be substantial, and then going as far as saying he'd be surprised if and astounded if the application was to be landing on his desk?
Well, of course, you'll remember that it's not the first time that we're hearing of an application within this particular trial. In fact, today is the third time that we're hearing of an application. The last week, you'll remember, the issue around 1010 Films also being dismissed because Advocate Malesela Teffo was bringing evidence from the bar and not bringing in a proper application. Last week, Friday, in fact, also hearing another application, Advocate Malesela Teffo bringing evidence from the bar, and the judge constantly raising the issue around procedure. In fact, he says in this matter that one thing that Advocate Malesela Teffo and himself would know well is that law does not in fact work on sympathy. It works on the principle of applying law to the facts, which is something that needs to be done extensively. Also, the issue around the procedures of how you file an application and when exactly the special plea can happen. I think it became central around when the special plea can happen. Can it be during cross-examination or only when that particular evidence that you wish to challenge is brought up? So, of course, resulting in that the judge ruling against him, looking at, of course, the procedures that have been followed and, of course, whether or not the evidence, or rather the confessions, were before him, brought, of course, by the state.
Very well, Linda. Mnisi, let's leave it there for now. Of course, we will continue to bring you more of what comes out of the High Court in Pretoria as soon as that court gets underway.